Okay, calling the regular meeting of the Fairfield Fire Commission to order, and we will open with the Pledge of Allegiance as we usually do.
I pledge allegiance to the flag,
United States of America,
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Could you remain standing for a moment of silence for Lieutenant Ray? Hold on. Okay, thank you. Formerly of the Fire Marshal's Office in his family. Excuse me. Okay. Great, thank you.
Motion to approve the May 9th minutes. I second them.
Any corrections? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. The minutes are approved. Chairman's report. I haven't had a chairman's report in a while. I'm gonna make up for it today. First of all, thank you, Commissioner Pletus, who's coming over the internet, and also congratulations to you on being interviewed on I believe Face the Nation a month ago for your good work getting the family of a serviceman out of a war zone. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.
The big news today is that on Monday, I received a call from Commissioner Brennan that the interviews that were scheduled for this week, 30 interviews, 3 days, 10 people a day, about an hour an interview, 30 hours, by 2 commissioners and 3 firefighters, the same 3 firefighters, the same 2 commissioners, with the exception of one day, were canceled summarily without consulting the commission, and that came from the administration of the town. They can and did do that. I tried to get that order changed by communicating with the first selectman through a variety of ways. He did ultimately respond to me. He sent me an email, and he said, "Hey, I was at the March meeting. I don't feel all the things that the chief had said he was going to do or done, and I don't see where you guys have voted on it, and why haven't you voted on it?" And so I responded to thank him for his email, which was towards the end of the day Monday. Towards the end of the day Monday, and 32 PM. I think the cancellation went out Monday.
Much earlier.
Much earlier.
So all 30 candidates.
And to all 30 candidates. So I don't think this is the way to run a railroad. I think some consultation might have been helpful. I think I tried to read the computer generated transcript. I found that very difficult. So I rewatched the relevant portion of the meeting. I think the chief made a number of statements as to goals that he would try and achieve. I think he did work to achieve those goals, and I think in large part he did actually achieve those goals. And we got a packet of emails from him and to him from the head of human services, among other people at the town of Fairfield. I think the chief's efforts to he was able to lower the cost of the testing, which is a barrier to entry for some folks. I have heard an issue as to the geographic diversity of the candidates. These folks were all in Fairfield or within counties, which New Haven is the county closest to us, other than Fairfield County. And 2 of the candidates, I believe, were actually from Fairfield. Several were paramedics, I believe. There was I guess there was also some discussion about laterals. I don't think that went anywhere. You know, maybe more should have been done. I don't know. It seems to be reading the emails like the chief had raised these issues and with HR, which is the proper entity, and the busy HR office said, let's deal with these. These are the most important, and some other things may not have been dealt with. Both the chief and HR report to the first selectman. So if he's not satisfied with what's been done, then I think he can hold a meeting in his office and tell him what he wants. But we have a concern because we know that retirements will come. I think we're expecting one in August, roughly. And generally speaking, we then have to send someone to the fire academy. And if we don't have someone to send, then we're looking at mandatory overtime, which does not promote safety, and it will cost the town more money. So I made a number of efforts to try and get this back on track. After Commissioner Brennan brought it to my attention because she was gonna sit on the panel, so she got the cancellation notice. And those efforts did not succeed. I did speak just now with the interim CFO. It was a frank discussion. I expressed my disappointment in this process, but he indicated that he would try and get it back on track. And I said, well, I don't think we can wait till the next meeting. So I guess my question for the commissioners is, when would we have another meeting taking into account people's business and travel towards the end of this month?
So I would also suggest, and this is a question in part to Chief, that we may not be able to do 3 back-to-back days, but we may be able to do a day each week. We might have to do maybe half the interviews one day, and that way I know I could probably fit it in. And Ginny, that way we can
Only
go
if we do
forward.
it that way.
Yeah, yeah, only if you do it that way. I can't take 3 days now, because everything I was supposed to do this week, I pushed into the next 2 weeks.
So did I.
Relying on the fact that the
Yeah.
interviews would be done this week.
course.
Right. So Ginny, your schedule is even more complicated than mine. Are there any days where it's whole days? That you,
The 20th is that Thursday? That's out for me. I can't do the 20th.
That's out for me too.
Okay. The rest I'm
are you
flexible.
talking about the special meeting or the actual
The
interviews?
special meeting.
No, we're
Oh,
just trying to
special
figure out when
meeting?
we can actually do interviews.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the only day that's totally out is the 20th. And as long as I have prior notice to a few hours here, a few hours there, I can work
The
around.
good news is 20th is my bad day too.
I don't know that we can get a plan that we will be
And the
able
bad
to-
news is I leave town on June 30th, don't come back till July 6th.
Yeah. I could do the 21st as one day.
That might work, but it might be overly optimistic in terms of getting
Answers?
answers. I mean, maybe. it's
Yeah, but
not-
that means we have to fit everything into the week of the 24th, and that's unlikely.
That's a real, that's a real challenge.
So I would say, what?
Yes.
Recommendation,
Yes.
because there are a number, we don't have a green light to move forward at this point. And to set a date that may or may not be relevant, without a green light to move forward. How about the week of July 8th? It gives us enough time to work through whatever issues that might be, need to be addressed. And then we have that week, we could vote on whatever list is promulgated. That would still give us enough time to, it would give us 45 days, roughly. What's the start date of the academy? Late August? 28. So it was just under 45 days to work through the onboarding process. For 1 or 2 candidates, we administratively can handle that. And it might give us some breathing room.
Well, and we have a tentative calendar hold for Thursday, July 11th with all the
Oh, good.
commissioners.
Okay,
But
So
that
I
gives,
can,
and I had that open
I can do
intentionally.
Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, but it puts it all in 1 week. Can
I
you do that?
cannot do the full day,
What time of day works for you, Jenny?
2 to 5.
Then maybe well, Monday's bad for me, but okay, maybe 2 to 5 is only
3 candidates.
3 candidates.
I'm afraid that if we don't set a special meeting date, that we may not get a plan.
You mean from the first selectman?
Yes.
Well, if we can figure out the interviews, then we can schedule,
backwards.
work backwards, but first, there's no reason to meet if we don't have the interviews.
Right,
But
we could always cancel.
Yeah.
right,
Just get
yeah, which is, but,
that week works for me if chief, what chief is saying, so I can, first.
But that only
shouldn't we just
gives
get the
us-
interviews, shouldn't we first secure the interviews? And then we'll make it work somehow.
well, we gotta pick dates so that they can try to schedule.
And we will have to recruit, in order for it to work in that week, to have 3 full days of interviews, we would have to recruit additional Board of Fire Commissioners to participate.
Right. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. You bet.
I mean, I can do some of the time.
Okay, good.
So what would my recommendation? You need at least 1 commissioner that's there for the entire 3 days.
I see.
And then the other commissioners can fill in the schedule over those 3 days according to their schedules. But in
It may
order
have
for
to-
that consistency, we would have 3 from the department that would participate, 1 commissioner consistent through the 3 days, and then piecemeal the rest.
But I also think, how many hours a day can you do, Lee?
I'm not sure, I mean, right now, I always think it's gonna be much easier 2 weeks from now, and sometimes it is, and often it isn't, but, you're talking about 2 weeks from now, so,
We're trying to match July 8th,
okay, I mean, I think I would have some time.
8th, 9th, 10th.
I mean, I think I could do 4 or 5 hours.
We may need to do 4 days. Can you do 4 days if it's 2 to 5?
Probably.
And you do 4 days if
Once
it's
I have-
4 to 5 hours?
Yeah.
And I can clear my schedule and do all of it. So let's take all 4 days, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th, and freeze them on our calendar. Deputy Chief, can you?
What hours of the day?
Well, we're gonna have 2 sets of invitations. Morning and afternoon. Break at 1 o'clock. Ginny can make it at 2. So 8 to 1. 2 to 5. 5:30 maybe. Yeah, 5:30. And
4-day schedule,
4-day schedule,
Monday through Thursday?
yep, which would get us to
Uh,
the 11th
8 to 11.
scheduled meeting. It wouldn't have to be a special meeting. And we can send a confirmation or send a reminder to tomorrow for all the commissioners to please hold it, because we may in fact need a special meeting in July on the 11th. Or a meeting on the 11th.
Right, that's a regular.
That's a regular meeting, but we need to make sure they know we're actually gonna meet.
Sheila is online, so Sheila, please send out that tentative date for the July 11th Board of Fire Commissioners meeting tentative.
Yes, that we actually plan on meeting. So we need a quorum.
And we can send an invitation to all of the commissioners to determine who would be available at any given time during that.
Hopefully, we can cover it with these 2, but
Oh,
we
okay,
should find
okay.
out. But we should find out, the more consistency, the better.
Right.
So if we have one in the afternoon and one in the morning, that helps.
So if one of the other.
Finneran would be the other one who potentially could do it since he's done it before,
Okay,
or Joe.
Have Jacinto ever done it?
No. And if we're gonna end up splitting up,
Alex, ever done it?
no.
It's too busy for us to.
I'm well aware of it.
I'm gonna put a hold on my calendar. And so we don't need a resolution for a special meeting, right? Chair?
I think it might be a good idea to have a resolution for a special meeting, and if we get a plan, we can always cancel it,
Okay.
but
When do you wanna have that?
cause we need a plan, unless we're gonna do this on our own without any on the clock firefighters, which we can't do that. It's a great idea. I think we could do that. I'm not suggesting we should do that.
No, the firefighters that we hire will have credibility problem with troops.
Yeah.
When they get hired, everybody else knows they can go through a full interview process, and I think that puts them. If we do it without firefighters as part of the panel.
Ultimately, it's our.
I didn't understand why that came, was there a reason why no firefighters came up?
I pointed that out, that if we have no other option, if they leave us with no other option, we can do that. They can say that people on the clock can't attend, but they can't stop us from interviewing people. Oh,
They can refuse to pay anybody who participates, but we're not getting paid.
Oh,
But I don't think.
I don't think the firefighter participation has ever been an issue. It's never been raised an issue.
Right, well, you don't know.
It's not an issue.
Shouldn't have been an issue at all.
It shouldn't have been an issue. I don't wanna make it an issue. I'm saying that the backup plan, if we can get a plan from the administration, is we're left with having to fulfill our duty to find firefighters.
Well,
Or not.
we'll secure,
Overtime.
we'll secure 3 personnel for that period and be ready to go.
I'm not questioning whether you will
Yeah,
secure.
yeah, I understand your point.
What I'm saying is,
Right.
I'm precluded from doing it.
if you're precluded from doing that, then,
Well, we have another set of problems.
Right.
And we could also choose then not to do anything and let them deal with overtime in the budget.
I'd rather not do that, because I'm afraid that you can also lead to injuries.
Yes, that's the one worry. It's not the overtime, it's the risk of
So
injury.
the,
think that would be the CFO's worry.
Okay, does that, maybe just for the record, you might provide some of the information that you provided to.
Yeah, I have a copy of the emails that went back and forth. I'll give these to Sheila in a minute.
Good, okay.
And also, I have the printout that you sent me, which is not easy to open
Right.
in any
well,
format.
I'd say it would have been so much easier to give you a hard copy that was stapled
Right.
with strings of emails stapled together and stuff.
In date order,
Yeah.
thing, but yeah.
Right, but I mean, it appears that there were attempts to discuss the issues you raised at that.
Back in February 10th.
And I am puzzled, and I don't say this lightly, and I'm very surprised to say this, but disappointed.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
At whom?
At the town administration,
Thank you. I will ditto that.
Big time.
but we will move forward. And hopefully they will give us a plan. So do we want to pick a date so that we have some sort of date that they can? Because I don't think they're gonna give us a plan unless we hold their feet.
So I spoke to the first selectman and David Becker yesterday and asked for a meeting.
Right.
And they said, we are busy, maybe, Friday or Saturday. It's like, it's gotta be tomorrow, one, because I'm away tomorrow and Monday. And they were gonna squeeze it, I was left with the impression they were gonna squeeze it in today. I think the next step in this process is the two of you with the deputy and I in a meeting with the administration and HR to come to some resolution on this. That is the next step, as best as I can
That's what we asked for,
imagine.
All right.
or Liam asked for.
Right. Well,
And I
mean,
think we need to keep pushing on that.
Yes. Yes, that's why, I mean, we can always call a meeting. I can call a meeting if we need to. I would really like to have a plan going forward that gets us the folks we need. Because I think we all agree that the process that we've used from before I got here has provided a great fire department. And, I don't really.
Well, given that we have the July 11th meeting, we don't necessarily need a special meeting, but should we put them on notice that it is our plan
We could do that.
to do this and use our normally scheduled July 11th to approve an eligibility list?
And that would be the time requirements to get folks into the.
Gives us 45 days.
Okay, all right, let's do that.
Or should I notify them? Should that come from you?
We'll do that.
At that same meeting, we are in the process of interviewing for a master mechanic and potentially a mechanic, depending on how the interviews go. So we would bring that for affirmation by the commission at the July 11th meeting. So I have 3 action items. Just want to make sure that I have.
That's right.
I have one more,
Okay, I'm sorry.
but it's on a different subject, so. if you
So the
want-
3 action items is to schedule and confirm the tentative date for July 11th. To begin a tentative schedule for interviews on July 8th through 11th. In double sessions, 8 to 1, 2 to 5:30. We'll secure the firefighter personnel and we'll query the commission for other commissioners who may be available for half or full days during that week.
Yes. The other item was, there's a condominium complex on South Pine Creek. And there's a resident there who has had a concern about fire code enforcement, which he quite properly brought to the fire marshal's office, and they did not agree with him. And then he quite properly appealed that to the state fire marshal's office, and they also did not agree with him. And then he writes a number of us to share those concerns, and while we appreciate his concerns, we, in my view, are not a code enforcement body. I don't think we have either the expertise or the jurisdiction. So that was what I was gonna just send him a letter saying, thank you for your communications, but we are not a fire code enforcement body. And is there any objection to that? Okay, so I will do
And I
that.
think the town attorney either was the primary, I thought he was Phil Pierce was the primary on the email and you were CC'd.
Yes.
He has been engaged in this process from the very beginning, and has responded on behalf of the town. So we have, processed it through the state fire marshal and the town attorney, and all with the same response to the resident. But to put a period at the end of the sentence, I think a statement from the chairman saying that it's outside your purview.
Acknowledge it.
Right.
We want to
Yeah.
acknowledge it. It's unfortunate, it's not our job. You can take
Yeah,
whatever-
Mr.
Yes.
So just the chief's point in question there, they did send an email to me directly as the secretary on the 2 line and CC everyone else. I don't think they necessarily got the response they were looking for, so now moved to us separately in the communication. So I agree that we should respond.
Okay, thank you. So that concludes. Does anybody else have The chief, do you have
Yes, I do.
anything happen?
So we continue to run the fire department. A couple of things, this past, or yesterday, we participated in statewide, and actually helped lead a statewide, exercise for the upcoming presidential elections. As we all can imagine, there's a lot of anxiety over the elections. There's a lot of things that could go wrong. From as simple as running out of pencils and a charge that had some nefarious intent, to protest and other activities that could disrupt the election. So the state organized a statewide exercise for this purpose. Every year we meet and exercise various elements of our emergency plan as part of the state initiative. So typically we do weather events or hazmat incidents. So this one was centered on the election. We chose as a region to do all 14 towns in our region. We did this last year and it was very well received. So we did it collectively so we could learn from each other in the process, and especially with something like the elections exercise. Because it's so new and dealing with cyber attacks as well as protests, freedom of information and First Amendment rights, Second Amendment rights, all that may come into play with disruptions or intended or otherwise to the election process. So 180 folks from the region met, all 13 out of the 14 towns met at Fairfield University. Fairfield University provided the Dolan Event Center and the New School of Business. It was a fabulous space that we could fit that many people in with displays that everybody could read. We had a facilitator come in and help us navigate the 9 scenarios with injects for various emergencies that occurred. From this point, and what yesterday was really a starting point to refine our local emergency plan for statewide elections, which really would be the period 2 weeks before the election and for the day of the election and whatever time afterwards. So Skylar Sherwood, Assistant Chief Sherwood, our planning officer, will have a series of meetings with all of the participants. And who came yesterday from the town of Fairfield was police, fire, emergency management, the first selectman, the chief of staff for the first selectman, the health director, IT department, the 2 registrars, poll moderators, and the RTC and the DTC chairpersons. So we really had everybody who will be a stakeholder in this process participate, and we'll include them all in the development of the emergency plan or the event action plan, as we call it, for the period of 3 weeks or so. I would expect during that time we'll have a partial activation of the Emergency Operations Center so that we can be quick in our response to anything that might happen. And then on the day of the election, actually open the EOC to support the registrars. Anything that happens within a polling site or the registrar's office will be the purview and responsibility of the registrars. Anything outside the perimeter of the election impacts outside of that into the community will be emergency management, but of course we'll support the registrars in the process. So a very good start, very eye-opening exercise. I think that everybody got a lot out of it. It's very well received, and we'll continue to move forward.
On a statewide basis, they usually do the utilities participate?
Yes. Both UI and Eversource were there as representatives, and the state will, if the state opens the EOC, the utilities will as well. But certainly they are very aware of the potential, a weather event that might cause a power outage or other
Or
events.
sabotage, they have the ability to move in mobile generators and that kind of stuff.
And they're prepared to do that.
Good, okay, that's all I want.
How many people would?
185, 180.
Yeah,
very well attended.
excellent. That's
It was a
great.
good learning experience. We ran from, people arrived around 8 and left at 1 o'clock. So it was a very full morning.
Excellent.
Operating budget, we're winding down on this year's budget. We are ending in the black. There are several budget lines that are over budget. But we make up for those that have a surplus, and so we'll net in the positive to complete the fiscal year. In next year's budget, as you know, we have 4 new positions. They will be the 24th person on duty, stationed at Station 5 for a 4-person engine company. So that will begin on July 1. We have our regular assistant chiefs and chiefs staff meeting on Tuesday. So we'll work through whatever details to make sure that we're gonna have all the systems to accommodate that going forward. But work has been done to prepare the facility to make sure that we're ready to go. But it is another person, and it will be a vacancy. I mean, it's somewhere in the system there will be a vacancy because we normally run 1 light and fill it with overtime. So that is the intent beginning on July 1. And lastly, as you know, we promoted 7 lieutenants and hired and swore in 2 new firefighters at an event at the Sacred Heart Community Theater. Again, Sacred Heart, very generous. So we had a relationship with both universities this month, very positive. A fantastic facility. It was, let me just say, we will never have a swearing in ceremony in the apparatus floor of a firehouse again.
Oh,
After being at Sacred Heart, I think that the bar was set very high. Now, if there's just one promotion or one swearing in, we'll likely do it here. But you know, it was an eye-opening event. Very, very well received. Great for the families and the department to be able to celebrate those new positions in that way. And we're really excited about this development and improvement in the department's posture. So we're moving forward.
question.
Sure.
Did you get any public, media attention?
We did have some social media.
Oh,
it was
so, right,
posted,
social
yeah,
media.
yeah.
Okay, that's good.
And there's some nice pictures. I don't know if you see Facebook, but if not, we can show you some of them at a different.
I'll make a
Yeah.
point of getting on.
Yeah,
I don't
very nice
do it
pictures.
normally, but I will. That's where it is. Right, I forget. Thank you.
End of my report.
Deputy Chief,
Yes, good evening. We had, in the operations realm, we had 3 structure fire incidents among many other incidents this month. On Oakwood Drive, we had a 1-room fire, which was caused by, I believe, electrical devices used to keep plants inside warm and lit, numerous plants. On Pope Street, we had a burned light fixture on the porch, which had to be extinguished. On Black Rock Turnpike, we had a fire caused by an electrician's hole saw, which ignited dry and rotten sheathing. So units had to chase the fire up in the concealed space. When we got on the scene, the people there said, "Oh, it's out. I got it out. It's out." And our units checked with thermal imaging cameras, and of course, it wasn't out. It was traveling upwards. So fortunately, we had a great crew which did the necessary check for extension and found it extinguished. Marine 225, well, it's, the temporary boat that we're using to replace Marine 228 is in service. Today it participated in a drill at the Pequot Yacht Club. Each year, Pequot Yacht does a safety drill in which they get all the teenagers or students who kind of work their boats and their instructors, all the kids that are working for them, and they do a safety training for them where we responded and the police responded, and it's a great thing to see actual hands-on preparedness, not just a classroom saying, hey, do this if there's an emergency. So that was great. In regards to the state radio system that we're getting on, things are moving along. We're gonna have a train the trainer in a week from now here. So we're gonna train about 5 or some odd of our firefighters who are then, they're kind of our radio gurus, and they're just going to kind of train our individual firefighters in the new systems, because these radios are a little bit more complicated, but they're going to relate that to our personnel. And the records management system, the work has started, things are starting to populate in the system. We're not using it yet, of course, but we're doing the background information. We're talking to, a couple of us are talking to the people that from the company. We're trying to harvest information from our existing records management system to populate this database, and learning how it's manipulated. And then we're gonna do eventually, we're gonna bring in some subject matter experts, people who, from the training center here are gonna be involved in, say, the training module. People, payroll, Sheila be involved in the payroll one, because we wanna make sure she's able, she's the one that knows how it's supposed to go. So it's some exciting stuff that is coming aboard with that. And lastly, as the chief mentioned, Master Mechanic roll board is set, and it's set for a week from today also, so June 20th.
I have a question.
Yes.
Master mechanic,
Yes.
you must have some feedback from this community or from your your firefighters. Do you have some good candidates?
Yes, so what we did is we put out a, on the town job site, HR.
Right. Job
HR
description.
Position, yes, and we did get numerous candidates, and we took
All
the-
external to the department.
Yes.
Okay,
Well, no,
all-
there was one internal.
Oh, yeah, excuse me, not firefighters moving up. Yeah.
And what we did is we took a look at all the applications, and we took the ones that seemed like they were serious candidates, from the background.
The credentials. Okay, so we do have several.
Yeah, we're surprised, it was
Good.
11 applicants altogether.
Isn't that great? Such a necessary position.
Yeah,
It's a very particular thing, because not just being a mechanic or a truck mechanic, but fire.
should he just drop, he's gonna,
It's a
Oh, it's
specialty.
gotta be, I'm in
Specialty.
all of it. Yeah, when Purewood explained about all of that, I found that very interesting. He's the chief, right? Chief Sherwood explained it. It was very interesting. Thank you.
Let Sir come next. Yeah, Sir is, Sir,
Are you ready for a report?
I am,
Yes.
yes, we are ready.
We're still in our busy season with CERT. We work the Memorial Day Parade, working with pedestrians and traffic. And we had our big event, which I'll say a little bit about, is the half marathon. We had about 40 volunteers participate in that. They arrived around 5:30 in the morning and left around 12:30. So they put in a lot of hours on a busy day. We did things like multiple intersections throughout town, parking, people exiting the parking lot, multiple things. But I do want to comment that even though this doesn't seem related to disaster preparedness or response, it really is, because it gives all the team opportunities to deal with people in different situations, as well as traffic and pedestrians. So it's a good event, good training. That's it.
And you're on board for the fireworks?
Yes, we are.
As always, thank you for your. hard
Yes.
work.
And happy birthday.
Ah,
Happy birthday.
Happy
Um,
birthday, Mama.
President Tuttle, do you have anything, because we may lose a commissioner soon, so. I don't know, Mr. Tuttle, President?
I can't hear you if you're talking.
Local 1426. He's on.
He's on, but we don't hear anything.
Here he is.
Oh, nothing to report, you just,
Thank
Oh,
you.
okay.
Thank you.
thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
I don't see the other volunteer departments here, and I believe Commissioner Cletus has needed somewhere else, so.
Yes.
Unless anybody has anything especially important, urgent, is there
Motion
a
to adjourn?
motion?
You have to vote on carryover for me, do you?
Oh, yes, sorry.
Okay, I have 5 days of vacation.
Yes.
By the contract has to be approved by the commission, for carryover.
So motioned.
I
Is there a
seconded.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. That's it. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Is there a
I
second?
seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you. Thank you very much, Commissioner Cletus.
Thanks, Alex.